It's
Good morning, Chris.
No, his.
Oh.
just disconnected.
Great timing. Hey, Donnell. Oh, there we go. All right, let's reactivate your. Okay.
All right, we're back.
I'll sit here and make sure it doesn't go off here.
Thank you. All right, so first I want to say thank you to John who invited me, and also Rosemary and the team at Gravitate because they spoke very highly of 1 Million Cups.
Can you just speak up?
Oh, yeah. I would say thank you to Rosemary and the team at Gravitate because they spoke very highly of 1 Million Cups, so I didn't know anything about it before, and I did know they mentioned it, and so I asked them about it. They said, you got to go. So I'm here.
Welcome.
Thank you. So we'll get started. Okay, the text is very small. Well, I'll start with a little bit about me, and I started my first online business when I was 9. I would run to yard sales, buy things really cheap, and go sell it on eBay. And my parents hated it because they always had to drive it to the post office. And then I built my first website when I was 14 years old. And afterwards, you know, I tried going to college and it was really expensive, so I decided to join the Army. And
Who?
yeah, while in the Army, let's see, I went to Afghanistan twice and Iraq once. I speak three Middle Eastern languages, and then I started to do work for NSA, CIA, and then I decided that it's not what I love. What I love is marketing. So I got out, and meanwhile, while I was in the Army doesn't pay that great. So I was looking for ways to make more money. And while I was in the Army, I got really into the domain industry, and hence how I came upon Direction.com, and I also own Ads.com. So if you go to Ads.com, it actually just takes you to Direction.com. So a little bit about the company. We have 3 core focuses, and those are search engine optimization, digital advertising, mainly through Google Ads and native ads, and then web design development, and we only build sites in WordPress. And this is so that when we deliver a website to a client, we build it in a way that they have full control and they can edit it, and they don't feel married to their web company and they have to call them every time they want to make an edit. And it's, I mean, if you ask Rosemary, it's pretty user-friendly. So since I started the company, we've done a lot in terms of breaking different worldwide records in search rankings. So from that, I've actually been interviewed by SEMrush, which is the world's largest digital marketing software. We are a premier Google partner, and actually just last week we were named by Yahoo Finance as the number 8 best digital marketing company in the world. And last year we won top web design company in Washington DC by Clutch, and also Zapier. So we don't just focus on getting our clients found online, but also helping them close business when they get found. So one of those things require, you know, different software integrations and making sure that, like, when a lead comes in, they get the phone call, or they get an alert, they get a notification, all that different stuff. We set up fully automated systems to help make your life easier. And that's through a program called Zapier, and we are actually one of 36 expert companies in the world. And we work with a range of different industries, but when we narrow it down to where most of our clients are in the legal industry, contractor services such as HVAC, paving, and then the health industry, software as a service, e-commerce, and property management. And just to show you, you know, we are the best around here. We outrank all of our competition everywhere, even places we're not. So we are actually in McLean, Virginia, but if you type in Washington, D.C. SEO, we outrank everybody. Obviously not in the maps because that's not actually where we're located. And then this is, if you type in Reston SEO, we outrank everybody in Reston. McLean, where we're actually located there. Let's see. And then even all the way up in Frederick, Maryland, we outrank people in Maryland. And then, so one thing I was asked one time, how can you prove you're the best, right? So I said, okay, I'm gonna outrank the government for their own system. Everyone was like, nah. I didn't just outrank the government from their own court system structure, but got something called a featured snippet, which is like position 0 above position 1. And on top of that, you can see Google also has that same site showing up twice with the stars and the search results. And then this is a commercial paving client of ours, and we have them, another featured snippet. Because here's the thing: it's great if you just rank number 1, but it's even better if Google features you like that, because the only thing above you is an ad. Doesn't want to skip.
Let's try down.
Just hit the arrow for him. Just hit the arrow for him.
With the arrow.
Yep. Whatever's popping up is blocking it.
Do that real quick.
Whatever that pop-up was.
Hit the arrow. The other one. The up or down.
Nope, it's whatever that pop-up did, it blocked it. Lots of Mac. Lots of Mac? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I know.
Let's try this. Maybe we could play.
There we
go.
Okay.
All right. Okay, and then this is a software company that we use marketing for. They are a cloud bookkeeping software. Let's go back. And for their core service, which is cloud bookkeeping, they outrank everybody nationally. And then we have an auto leasing client who does auto leasing nationwide, and they are, as you see, if you type in TT lease for the Audi TT, they outrank Audi for their own vehicle. And we have this case study pretty much for almost every automaker you can think of. We have them outranking the automakers for their own vehicles in Google search results in the number 1 position. So what makes Direction.com unique and what kind of separates us is our whole goal is to not just build you a website, but build you a website that gets found, that grows your business, and it really generates inbound leads. It's pretty much part of your sales system, integral part. And I'll say before, we set up systems in place that help you manage and close new sales, because what's the point of getting found online if you get a flood of business and you don't know how to handle it or manage it? And then a lot of digital agencies, according to the law, everything that they put on your website, they can take back if you fire them. We do not do that. Everything that we create for you is owned by you. We do not ever take anything back. If you're like, one day, you know what, Chris, I don't like you, or someone on your team, goodbye. Like, screw you. Well, guess what? I'm not gonna do anything to take back what we've made for you, and because that will hurt any progress, and I don't believe it. And something else that really helps us stand out is the way we can really produce awesome results is we have a ton of tools that help us reverse engineer successful competitor strategies. So we could say, okay, this is working for your top competitors, the person that ranks number 1, number 2, number 3. Well, let's see what they're doing exactly, break down the data behind that, and then just outperform them. And that's how we've been able to outrank some of the world's biggest companies, such as Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, government. My challenge question. So we are growing, and one of my biggest struggles is finding awesome people. And we have an awesome team right now, but we need more awesome people, and it's tough to find. We have about 7 people on the team, and we're trying to grow to about 10 right now. And we've been, let's see, there was we hired somebody once, a few months back. It cost a ton of money to find the right person who just left 3 months later. And we paid for their family to move from Texas, and yeah, so it was an expensive hire after paying the agency for getting that person and moving their family in. So that's my my challenge question.
Okay.
Please remember to write your comments and everything on those things that we get for you, the cards. Yes, John.
Yep. Yep. Hi, I'm John with Fishing Sport. You just said you moved somebody from Texas, and then they were here with you for 3 months, and then this area, there's a lot of great opportunity for everybody, which is good, and in some instances maybe not so good. Sorry, I've got 2 different thoughts going. The first thought is though, what is your ability to have people work remote so that if there is somebody in the next person you find in Minnesota or Texas, enabling them to stay there and still collaborate and work with you, using tools that are available, pretty regularly available. I have a lot of that in my own business, and then trying to do this delicately. When I see something like that, I always look in. When someone leaves my team, I always look inwardly and say, okay, what's going on in my culture that affected that decision? People typically aren't going, some people are going to leave for money, if the money's, a grand. If it's substantially more, I shouldn't say grand. I mean, if it is substantially more, but there's something about culture and family that, I don't pay that well. I'm a seasonal camp, but my seasonal people don't leave in the middle of the season to go to a competitor. So, I've spent a lot of time cultivating based on that. So that's my only comment.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. Are you for 1099s or W-2s? And then, did you say that you were in the military?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have access to a wide array of veterans here in this area, and there are some financial incentives for hiring those veterans. And if you're interested, I can have a conversation with my colleague and I after this.
Dave.
So, 2 things. Did you put a stipulation in the person's contract on the cost of the reload?
I did not.
Okay, so and it's something you're going to overlook, but basically it's usually a 2-year stay period if you're paying for somebody's reload. So file that one away for future reference. The next question is, have you asked the people who are currently working for you why they stay? Because I think understanding why they stay and why it's appealing will go a long way towards figuring out how to market to the people that you're trying to recruit and attract, as well as being competitive in the marketplace.
Okay. So there is around the country an awesome network of different HR recruiters and headhunters. Have you leveraged or talked to any of them yet? Because you can give them, they'll interview you, they'll go through what your critical things are you need. What they'll do is they'll be able to find in their local areas or anywhere around the country people who have the skill sets. You can then interview by phone, video phone or whatever. They can be remote. They can opt, unless you have something that's proprietary that you don't want to let out of your McLean location. Having people remote, as was mentioned earlier, is right now a very viable option because there are a lot of talented people out there who can move around, and this is an issue that's been going on here in the DC area, specifically to here, unlike any place else. That people in your industry are in such high demand that it's getting to the point where there's nobody. Poaching is about the only way you can find people these days. All right, have you gone to that?
Yeah, that's what I was. We use a headhunter agency, and we use 2 different ones.
Okay.
And one just kept sending us bleh people, and the other one we liked the person, and we paid too much money. It was like 20% we negotiated down from 25 to 20%. And the person left 3 months later. It's
Gotcha.
so I'm kind of salary as headhunter agencies right now, unless one comes to me saying, hey, like 5%.
Because the other option is to go right to the schools and start
Yeah.
hiring right out of the colleges.
Correct.
Yes.
Find someone who you can train up.
Yes.
I was going to ask, if somebody asked, well, in any case, I remember I had a position saying it, but, why are they leaving? You can look at Glassdoor and Indeed.com and on the feedback sites about why people leave the company.
Well, the specific person I'm talking about, they left because I found out at the end of the day they didn't even like what they did.
Hey Chris, real simple question, because I work with you guys, I kind of know what you're all doing. What kind of jobs are you looking to fill? That's first. I know that you've got job descriptions written, but you and I talked a little bit about this. In a company your size and working with certain people, the culture fit is going to be much more important than the skills fit. And I know from having hired people, you spend a lot of time on the JD, like what kind of skills, what do they have to bring to the table? Have you yet invested in the type of person? Like, I want to hire somebody like me, but blah, 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 or somebody like Jessica with X, Y, and Z. That may help you to narrow down the kind of candidates that you get in, and understanding the skill level that you require. So salespeople in this role are different than developers, are different than account management people, right? So all those skill sets have slightly different, but all the culture is going to be the same, right? So I would just recommend a little, if you haven't already, a little time on developing that persona that you want to hire.
So, I love your question. But the one thing that you have to define is what is great. Because great to you may not be great to me. And so you have to define what you need for that position, number one. Number two, when you're looking to hire people, you can train skills and knowledge. The one thing that you can't train is attitude. And so you have to hire for attitude and habits of a person that you're looking for. And you can train them on the skills and knowledge that you need, because even though they know exactly or somewhat of what you're doing, they may not have they still need to be trained on the skills and knowledge that you're looking for to be able to complete things in the way that you're doing it. Because what you do is, you do what a lot of technology companies do, but you do it very well. And so obviously your process is bar none. And so they need to understand and know that process. However, when it comes to the culture of your organization, you need to be hiring the right people to grow the culture of your organization. And we can talk offline on how to do that. I have some tools to be able to help you.
John Rutenberg, CCCSolutions.com. All of these bright people have given you great comments, because attitude is everything. Finding WordPress people, if you're looking for WordPress, isn't that difficult, quite frankly. You don't have to go to Texas. You have George Mason and you have GW between you and McLean. I would urge you to go to the career centers and start getting grad students who go to school sometimes in the evening, and on the international level may be limited to 20 hours a week, so get 2 or 3 of them. And begin to recruit while they're in grad school, and then they just come right to work for you afterwards. And you know after 6 months whether they're your culture. So if they're not, you don't renew them, you find the next one through the Career Center. It's a great way for a small company to grow locally.
Chris, does it? Joe Barrett, Sir Alexis. So actually, this is not a recruiting or staffing question. Mine is more about in relation to search engine optimization. Okay, in terms of how you advise your clients. I don't have a great depth of area in this area. However, a lot of superfluous spending in customers not, or people, companies not getting enough bang for their buck, for lack of a better term. How are you advising customers in that area? Strategy, you know, look, everyone needs to be on the line. Everyone needs to Google this, Google this. I hear this all the time. Is that, okay, that's great. You know, you come up in a Google search system, this second or third, it's awesome. What does it really do? So I guess my question to you is, how do you address that with the client, or do you? Are you talking about SEO efficiency with your customers? And if so,
Joe, he's gonna charge you for that later?
yeah. I'm just curious, because it's a conversation all the time. And a lot, even smaller companies are spending a lot in this area. And I wonder, one area is this efficient? Is this the best use of their capital investment?
I say there is no better investment into marketing, because with ranking in Google, you're getting found when people are searching for you. Versus any type of like Facebook ads getting in people's faces, they're not looking for you. You just show up, right? Or if they're like any other ads you ever see, even on the road, if you look at a billboard, it's not like you were looking for that billboard, right? It's all great marketing. I'm not saying billboard's bad or anything like that. What I'm saying is that your best customer is the one that already knows they need you and they look for you. And you know, in regards to, there's a lot of companies out there that sell search engine optimization and they don't deliver. And I think the biggest mistake that companies make is not properly explaining the amount of time that it takes. So think of it this way: if there's a new news site and you like it, you're like, oh, cool, right? And they start putting out cool articles like weekly or something like that. You're gonna keep reading it, and all of a sudden if they stop after 2 months, you're gonna be like, well, what happened? All right, I'm gonna go back to whatever, Fox, CNN, whatever else I look at. It's the same with search engine optimization in Google, is they wanna see consistency. And honestly, I mean, we produce results within a few weeks, and I always tell people it takes at least 6 months to expect anything, which is a big investment. It absolutely is, and we understand that. And the thing with that is, though, it's a permanent investment to your business. You are building your brand versus an ad that goes away after you stop paying.
So back to your challenge question.
Yes.
Piggybacking on Dave's point, definitely put a clause in your paperwork about relocation, but I would also put a clause in there about training. So if you offer to pay tuition for somebody to get a degree, if you send somebody to an expensive development program, you want to also make it clear in some fashion, whether it's in your policy statements or whatever, that if you invest in them, they need to stay with you for a period of time, whatever that period of time makes sense. A couple other points though. Employee referrals are the best source of finding people and people who will stay. And so one of the things you can think about is developing an employee referral process where you give bonuses to your current employees to help you find people. If you're going to pay 20% to an agency, why not use some of that money, or take that same concept and help with employees, so to pay employees. The third thing I would say is, regardless of whether you use an agency or you go to university, you want to use and develop some behavioral interview questions, because that's how you're going to find out what is the character of the individual, not just what the skill level is, but how are they going to behave. Behavioral question is something like, tell me about a time when, and fill in the dots. It could be about their management style, it could be about their technical skills, it could be about anything, but how do you behave? And you might be able to find out if somebody is the type of person who it is after they get there 3 months, in 3 months is going to leave, so you want to understand what their behaviors are going to be and how they're going to act in the workplace, how they're going to get along with folks. So you can absolutely, part of the issue is finding the people, and you can go on to LinkedIn and you can hire independent recruiters who can comb LinkedIn to find you the candidates that you want. You can go to universities and so forth. But the second piece of that then is actually talking to and finding out what is this person going to be like when they come in the door, and how are they going to add to your team. Because if you're going to go from 7 to 10, the dynamic of your team is going to change. It's got to. Just by virtue of even if you bring in 3 people who are similar to the 7 that you have, there's still going to be a new dynamic.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to flip this around now.
Okay.
Stop finding them. What do? You generate inbound. Use your own services to plant, because I'll tell you right now, when anyone here has ever been looking for a job, what do? You go to the job sites, but you also start Googling and looking at companies, trying to find stuff. Why does all the kids in college want to go work for Google? Because they know about it,
Yeah.
right? Use your own skill sets, your own talents to sit there and start driving people to your site, looking for work, all right? Now, all of a sudden, you flip it around, you're not trying to find them, they're finding you. They're coming to you. You start getting your inbox filled, or your search, parameters set up where people are sitting there applying and applying and applying, because now, with your talent and skill set, with your ranking, okay? If I'm in college and I'm desperate because I know in 3 months I'm graduating and I don't have a job lined up, and I'm going to be doing search engine optimization, I'm going to be doing web development, and this is what I do, and every place I've applied to so far has turned me down. What am I doing? I'm getting hacked, all right? These may be perfectly good people that you can then train up. You'll get them in at a more affordable rate. You hire them provisionally for 90 days, but the thing is, they're coming to you. So have you been using your own skills to put stuff out there and plant it so it pops up right on the very first line when they're looking for something?
Yes, we get a whole lot of spam.
Okay.
And a lot of developers from around the world saying, hey, well, we're in Ukraine, we're in India, we're in we had to take the page down.
Okay.
Because the second you start ranking for web development jobs, every developer around the world starts messaging.
Can you start tweaking for region so it only pops up in region instead of everywhere?
Well, yes, and there's tools that they use to scrape the internet for that.
Okay.
So, what you were saying in terms of remote, so we had 13 employees at one point. I fired all the remote ones except for 2. What I found was, as we're a young company, I started it almost 3 years. It was August 2016 when I started the company. And since I fired the remote team and brought most everybody in-house, it's helped us grow better as a team, and we are not going to hire remote
Okay.
in the foreseeable future right now. Maybe later on as we're a bit larger. Yeah.
One question is, you're looking for experience, but I know that another serious aspect of getting the right person is finding somebody with talent. Do you, because I'm actually kind of looking for somebody in a similar situation as yourself, somebody I'm working for. But what is your definition? You don't have to answer the question right now, but what is your definition of a good, talented person? Because that's a serious aspect of whether they're going to be successful for you or not.
Jen?
So just a few questions and a couple of observations.
Okay.
Do you have a 5-year vision for how big you want your company to be?
No.
So I think it's important to have that. I think it's important to have that so you can also do career paths and succession planning. I think if you can communicate to your 7 where they will be 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now, the odds of keeping them are much higher. When I look at companies with 10 people, the challenge is lack of hierarchy and lack of knowing where do I go next? What title am I gonna get next? And so having that path and vision for the team, I think will be pretty powerful. There's a different question on, are you interested in giving people equity if they reach a certain point? Depends on your vision for the company. Are you trying to sell it in 5 years? Do you want to keep it and grow it forever? And those are just some things to think about. On the keeping them, there's also, when I was looking at your website, a lot of the blogs are written by you. So an observation would be, and you may do this, it's hard for me to know that perception-wise when I look at your website. Who on your team is feeling invested in, is out speaking on behalf of the company, is writing blogs, is feeling like a thought leader. Because if you're treating them amazing and I'm assuming you're paying them competitively, I'm assuming the benefits are okay. They're not as competitive as you probably need them to be. If you look at paid vacation, or if you look at, maybe you don't do vacation, it's just, hey, you take vacation when you want, but you need to get your job done. So I think you probably need to also look at your benefits and update them to be more competitive. But right now, my perception is you don't have a clear path for your team, and maybe you do, but that's what it looks like. And I know even if you don't have a 5-year vision, you definitely do. So I think that's a big question that I would say focus on, yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's, yeah, I mean, not a full 5 division. There are.
Even 3, right? 3 is a good start, 5 would be better.
So something, I don't want to commission on, but something my COO and I have been kind of working on is after someone has been on with us for 5 years, they do get a piece of the company, a small piece.
Dave Morrow, 4 Steps Ahead. You mentioned COO. I'm wondering, within the company, so out of 7 people, you've got yourself, the COO, and then how many other people are in leadership roles? Because what I'm trying to figure out is, how are you taking steps to scale what you're doing, which kind of touches on what Jen was talking about. How many hats have you been able to take off your head over time? Because you're probably wearing 19, like the vast majority of them. But you've got to figure out, okay, well, if I'm the key salesperson, the key marketing person, and you know, this, that, so on and so forth. Right now, you need to be the key recruiter, which is a marketing exercise. I think we've all kind of pointed that out. But figuring out, okay, how do I say, you know what, the rest of the stuff, I've got people who can take this over, or I can bring them along to take this over so that I can focus on, I've got nothing more important than to oversee the business and then spend 80% of my time making sure I've got the people who can help me run the business.
Yeah, it's, well, okay, so I said 7 people and I was thinking about, I have 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so really from 8 to 11, because we're looking for 3 people, but I have a COO and a director of advertising, and then an account manager who's working her way up pretty quickly. So my hats probably went from like 30 to 10 over the past like year, thankfully.
When you get it to 4, if you can find ways to get it down to 4 or 5, then you're talking.
Yeah.
That'll
So, does your organization have a vision, mission, and values?
Yes,
And with that mission, vision, and values, is that effectively communicated through your organization?
very much so.
And do you use that within your hiring process?
Yes.
And in the hiring process, do you have a way of effectively infecting the entire organization with that mission, vision, and values?
Yeah, so actually over the past few months, we've kind of revamped all the questions we ask and stuff. So the first like 6 questions are all based on our 6 core values.
Okay.
So it's kind of like our first core value, it's direct, is what it stands for, DIRECT. First one is domination, so you dominate in everything you do, like you win. And so the first question I ask someone is, tell me the last time that something that you feel you achieved, you won, like an achievement, a recent achievement in your life.
Okay.
So, but this is very recent, like maybe 2 months ago I finalized all that.
And then my last question is in that, do you know what you look like within the next 10 years, 10 to 15 years?
All right.
Okay.
I have an idea, but I don't have in writing a 10-year plan.
Okay.
One more question and then we have to wrap it up.
First of all, I was the guy who clapped. I'm one of those folks that spent low 4 figures on SEO and got zipped. So I'm like, wonderful. That's awesome. You should be really proud of that. This is a little obscure for screening people. It's on the card. There's a system of personality evaluation created by Kathy Colby that's a little off kilter from most everything people have heard about. She also provides a methodology for evaluating jobs to determine whether or not the candidate and the job fit together. Things such as, are they people who absorb information? Are they people who are engaged with developing processes? Are they people who are quick starters and they're just going to jump out of the gate to do what you need them to do, and they're not going to research it, they're going to act first? And that approach, it's not the only approach, but implementing that sort of more scientifically based, rigorous screening in addition to your interview questions may help you to get people who are stickier for the tasks that you're trying to fill. So, that's just a suggestion, a point of investigation that you may want to pursue.
I will.
And the final question goes to John Al.
What can the 1 Million Cups community do for you?
It's a question that I was thinking, and I kind of wanted to answer that after really seeing what it was about, per se, because I didn't have a full understanding of what it was, so I honestly can't give you an answer right now.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
So in this time, we will give you a chance to, if you have any announcements that you can say, please, yes?
If anybody's interested, there's an event that I'm speaking at Friday. It's a half day